Live like it's your first day, not your last. When you live like it's your last day, everything is about feeling to get in everything you missed out on. Live with no regrets type of mentality. You're not looking back, but you're not looking forward either. You're just relying on adrenaline and gratification in the moment. When you live like it's your first day, your scope, your naivety is wide, but you're not jaded yet. The world is your oyster per se. You know nothing, so you have no choice but to just work and get better and live through your intuition. The smallest things bring you joy. There's nothing that's too late for you. Failure doesn't come with the same consequences because you're at the start of something, not the end. You can mold yourself how you see fit, not doing actions to unwind the regret your aura has fit. Hey, I'm trying to enhance my aura too, so if you guys could please like, comment, subscribe for the algorithm. The growth of this channel has been great. I just want to say thank you. So yeah, get back to the video. What inspired me to come up with this idea today? I always feel like we live in this kind of society mentality. There's a fine balance between being present and being so in the moment that you're not thinking about what's ahead. And I do think that that's where the hard part about balance in life is. You don't want to be the guy that's so analytical or so you're overthinking everything. You're all about, I won't do this today because, you know, I'm like, for me, like, I won't post this because then it'll mess up with this and that. And then what if this? It's like, just do it, right? And sometimes you do need to have a strategy with what you're doing in life. When you live like it's your last day, it's kind of an excuse for you to not only not fulfill what your potential, if that's something you care about, but I think it's deeper than that. I think you're afraid that there's nothing to fulfill. I think some people, we have this YOLO, or in some cases FOMO, the fear of missing out, the you only live once type of thing. And I believe we create that incentive within ourselves because it's the only time we don't have to think. And it's cool, we watch these love movies growing up, these teenage, you know, kind of like the teenage love stuff in the 80s and 90s, where you watch movies that are like 18, 19-year-olds, and then you're a teenager at the time too, and it's just this momentum of love and in the moment feeling. And at the end of the day, in a world that's so, it feels so artificial, everything's kind of done for us. Very rarely do you actually have to put like hard manual time and labor into stuff anymore, because anything can be fixed with, if you just have enough money, someone will fix it for you. It's the only time where we make irrational decisions to live every day like it's our last. We don't want to look what's ahead or remind ourselves what's behind. We're just in this bubble. It's almost like you're creating a safe bubble to not have to really do anything. And there's a beauty to that. I admire it. And you also don't want to be someone that only thinks about what's ahead and you never actually enjoy the fruits of your labor. Like anything, there's a time and place. We always hear the saying, live every day like it's your last. I think that's a pretty reckless way of living. I think the better, more approach that you can still have a fulfillment in yourself is live every day like it's your first day. And obviously, when you're a newborn out of the womb, you don't know what the hell's going on. But let's be realistic. Your first day where you could take the knowledge you have, but the expectations of you is like you're a 7-year-old. But you're a grown adult mentally, cognitively. It's almost like it's kind of like Space Jam and the Monsters. Your body, or like Scooby-Doo and they spill all the stuff and everyone switches souls. Like, your body and mind is inside like a 8-year-old. Not like that. You know what I'm saying? Your soul and spirit, your brain, your knowledge. There's something to where if you just know what you know now, and you apply to that, and you take away the pressures and expectations of society on you, or your peers, or whoever you have decided that you care enough about their opinions to dictate what you do and what you don't do. If you were a 7 to 8-year-old child, they would not have those expectations, right? So when you live in that type of mentality, where it's, I only what is presented to me. It's only, the way I look is, I know nothing. I don't know how to do shit. I'm not expected to know how to do anything. You're not worried about the fear of, I'm this age and I don't have this amount of skill set. I'm this age and I have no resources. I'm this age and I don't have this, and I'm supposed to be married, supposed to have a house, I'm supposed to have this, and all this stuff, right? And it's all these stuff that the only reason why it matters is because you feel the pressure around you that it matters. And maybe you had this expectation yourself that by this age, this is what's supposed to happen. And it's good to have goals. Maybe your interests change over time. There's plenty of people that change careers and change their idea of marriage, maybe even their sexuality, you know, whatever you're into. Who you like, what you think you want in someone, what you find out you don't. When you put yourself in, what if the expectations of me were like a 7 to 8-year-old child? If you have to work, if you're someone that cares about other people's perception, and you can almost say you're kind of like manipulating and lying yourself. What you're doing though is giving yourself permission. Like, I am starting and building something new with no expectations. That I am not only thinking forward about what I want in life and working towards something, and I'm not on this imaginary time frame that we put on ourselves. The older you get, look, you gotta have relative expectations. You can't just loosely do stuff and have no relative, at least, checkpoints of, hey, what am I doing here? What's my progress? Etc. Like, I cannot be in the same spot 3 years from now as I am today. Like, I just can't, right? Because as you get older, the expectations of when you're 25 and when you're 30, I mean, you're a different person, you're more mature, you're more grown, but your cognitive function's technically really the same. The only thing that's changed is your experiences, maybe what you believe about stuff, and maybe some things have made you more jaded, maybe some things have made you, maybe you've had an opening of Christ in your life if you're religious, maybe you've had an awakening, or maybe you've had a complete downfall and hard times, whatever it is. The reason why it hits you much different as you get older. Breaking your leg at 30 years old is a whole lot different than breaking your leg at 10 years old. When you're 30 years old, now you're looking at, damn, I can't even go to work. Like, damn, this shit's hard. It's hard to get around. It's hard to be 30 years old and asking someone to give you a ride somewhere. There's a pride and ego that you're 10 years old, you break your leg, you're on your parents' health insurance, they're taking you here, they're taking you to the doctor every other week, they'll come up to your room, bring you soup, and, you know, you're taken care of. When you're 35 or 40, you know, hopefully you have family and stuff to take care of you if something like that were to happen. But I've seen, you know, when I was a manager at a very, I was a manager at FedEx. We were, like, the pressure of production was so high, man. And I would be a manager of like 50 to 60-year-old people. Some people just work there because they just wanted something to do in their free time. And you got the other side of, man, there would be grown 60, 56-year-old dudes trying to pick up shifts, working 60, 70 hours a week, sleeping literally outside in the waiting area. Sometimes they would sleep on the bleachers. It was a 24-hour building, so the building was constantly going. So it's now they could come inside, go in the break room, blah, blah, blah. And what that showed me, and it didn't matter. Like, there was no, hey man, I'm gonna give this person a little lighter duty today, because if I didn't have enough people to keep if I didn't have enough people to keep enough work being done in enough time, you have to increase everyone's workload. You increase people's workload and they just busted their ass for 2 shifts prior. You're asking a 6-year-old dude with no hip, child support, no family, takes the bus to work. You're asking him, hey man, I need you to move faster. And you're this 29, 28, 29-year-old. And I worked hard. Like, I helped as much as I could. But there comes a part where you kind of have to like, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. I just need a little bit more. And you just keep asking more and more from people that have really nothing more to give. Their souls have been taken. You can feel it, like they have nothing to really live or work for. They're doing it because they have to. And they're doing it because they have to, and they don't even really have a purpose, except they just need money to support themselves. Not even, I got a family that, even after busting my ass, I got someone at home that cares for me. I got a family that checks up on. A lot of these cases, it's not the case. And they get in that mentality of like, hey, this is just what it is. And when you live every day like it's your last day, it feels like this is just what it is. There, you can see there's no hope. When you're a 7 to 8 to 10-year-old, but you have the knowledge you have now, it's almost like they say wisdom is wasted on the youth or something like that. Where by the time you have all this wisdom, by the time you have all this knowledge, it can't even be applied in real time for most people. And so, the reason why I use the work example of, it kind of jaded my point of view of like, man, hard work is great and it's important, but there is something that's hard about watching people that are 2 to 3 times your age, and you're the young one, and you're asking these people to bust their ass because you're getting pressure from management. If you don't, your ass is getting chewed out the whole time. And they will come out there and and in that type of environment, when it's production and you got stuff that needs to be done on time, you gotta close trailers, you gotta really make sure shit keeps going, because if you're not doing your job, the whole building stops, and that stops other people from doing their job. So when you're not doing your job, you're actually making it where everyone can't get stuff done on time. And then you have to sit there with a straight face because you're understaffed or people don't show up to work. You guys sit there and tell someone, hey, I know you're going off 3 hours of sleep. I know no one loves you. I know no one cares for you. But hey, man, I need you to push these boxes down. That type of thing. Living every day like it's your last day will just be this nonstop of you hoping it's your last day. It's almost like you've accepted that this is it. You live every day like your first day, you're excited of what's ahead. And there's a time and place, there's some nights you just need to not think about shit. You just want to have fun and drink and be with friends and go out. All that is great, and there's a time and place for that. As long as you're in control of what you're doing, that's fine. But I think a lot of people, we hit phases in life, and I think everyone has been in phases where they're like, bro, is this it? Is this about how good life can be? And it sucks. Like, you feel like you're putting endless effort, you feel like you feel like you're doing all the right things, but you're not really feeling the reward. Or you're pursuing things that have this dream pipeline type of thing. You convince yourself of enthusiasm and what if, but you have nothing to show for it. And you start feeling that from your peers. You start feeling that you have less friends that are around you. You have less people that reach out and even like take you serious as a person. Because we live in this leveling up culture. And our idea of leveling up, for the most part, is the only way you could call it leveling up is if other people around you consider it leveling up. you need almost confirmation that I am doing something that is better, that is more productive, that is more rewarding than what you're doing. And you can get in relationships, and I think when you get a contrast in relationships when they don't work, I think if, I'm kind of going off the top here, if I had to say, there's always a lot of friction, and it almost never works when someone lives like, life is great, I'm excited about what's ahead, and then you got someone else who's only worried about today and tomorrow and what do we got, and then you got someone that's optimistic and someone that's pessimistic. When you get those two contrast ways of thinking, it's a recipe for contentment. It's a recipe to where it's almost like they transfer. If you're around people that don't have that same way of thinking as you, you'll either adapt and think what they think, or there's going to be some type of distance and probably some bad shit's going to happen that's going to hurt you. I think overall, when I'm talking about treat every day like it's your first day and not your last, what I'm really saying is feel like a child again. Feel like you're, in most cases, like I'm 30 years old. I think the average age that people pass away is what, like 80 something now? I don't know. Like, it's probably 70s. I'm not statistically even halfway through my life. But we treat like we just see these round numbers, and people have these, what are you doing, this, that, and the other. And because they see, all they focus on, they're not focused on what you're doing and your mindset, your thought process behind some. All they're thinking about is what you didn't do. And all they're focused on is what they did do. And not really saying, what is that doing for you? And how are you rationalizing to yourself that what you're doing is actually what you want to be doing? While I'm sitting here recording a video in the woods, and I'm much more happier than I've been in quite some time. Because it feels like I'm right where I should be. Because I live every day like it's my first day and not my last.